Europe is running out of people, not in the future, not in theory, right now. A chilling chart from the Financial Times reveals something no one is ready to talk about. The birth rates in Europe's biggest economies are in free fall. France, Germany, Italy, all plunging below the critical replacement level of 2.1 children per woman. By 2020, that number hovered around 1.5, and it's not bouncing back. What does that mean? It means fewer children, fewer workers, fewer taxpayers. Entire economies aging faster than they can reproduce. And no, this isn't some sci-fi collapse scenario. It's already underway. But here's the twist. It's not just biology. It's not that people can't have kids. It's that more and more people are choosing not to. Why? Because in today's Europe, starting a family feels like a financial death sentence. Skyrocketing rent, outrageous childcare costs, no space, no support. The price of diapers might as well be gold. And then there's the cultural shift. People are delaying marriage or avoiding it entirely. Career first, stability second. Kids, maybe never. Add in a generation crippled by climate anxiety, wondering if it's even ethical to bring a child into a world on fire. And you have a recipe for demographic collapse. But here's what no one wants to say out loud. This is not just a European issue. This is the future of the West, especially white European nations. America isn't far behind. Japan, already there. South Korea, even worse. We're looking at the slow-motion disappearance of entire populations. Nations that once ruled the world now struggling to simply replace themselves. Meanwhile, the global picture paints a very different story. According to the UN, the world population will keep growing, but only because of developing regions, particularly Africa and the Middle East. These areas still have higher fertility rates and their populations are surging. So what happens when rich developed countries shrink and poorer, younger nations rise? The balance of global power shifts economically, culturally, politically. Europe may be aging itself out of relevance, and yet, here's where the conversation gets really uncomfortable. Some argue this is a good thing, that fewer people mean less pollution, less strain on the planet, a more sustainable world. But others warn this is a civilizational crisis. A world without enough youth becomes stagnant. Innovation slows. Care systems collapse. Societies built on growth start crumbling when growth ends. So now we're at a crossroads. Do we fight this trend with aggressive family subsidies, free childcare, and housing reforms? Or do we let it happen and accept the end of an era? Is this decline nature's reset or our collective failure? Should governments be doing more to reverse the trend or stay out of the bedroom? And here's the hardest question of all. If people simply don't want children anymore, what does that say about us? This isn't just a population problem, it's a values problem. It's an identity crisis. Drop a comment below.
Let's move on now to other stories. The American Census Bureau has released the demographic data showing how the U.S. has changed over the past decade. It is the most detailed account of the demographic changes in the country since the year 2010. U.S. Census data release shows that the United States is an increasingly diverse country, as there have been significant increases in the number of people who identify as multiracial, Hispanic and Asian. These categories have driven much of the population growth between 2010 and 2020. The multiracial population has changed considerably since 2010. It was measured at 9 million people in 2010 and is now 33.8 million people in 2020, which is a 276% increase. The Hispanic or Latino population, which includes people of any race, was 62.1 million in 2020. The Hispanic or Latino population grew 23%, while the population that was not of Hispanic or Latino origin grew 4.3% since 2020. The white population remains the largest race of ethnicity group in the United States, with 204.3 million people identifying as white alone. But its share of the overall population is declining. The white alone population decreased by 8.6% since 2010. The U.S. is now 57.8% white, 18.7% Hispanic, 12.4% black and 6% Asian. The data also offered new details of the country's slowing rate of population growth. The population growth is lower than it has been at any time aside from the 1930s, and more than half of all U.S. counties lost population from 2010 to 2020. New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Houston and Phoenix remain the 5 largest U.S. cities. Phoenix, which grew faster than any other city in the top 10, surpassed Philadelphia. The fastest growing cities across the U.S. are now in suburban areas. The data release arrives months later than originally expected, as the census took longer to complete due to the pandemic. The delay has forced some states to go to court to postpone their redistricting. States use the data to redraw district lines for the U.S. House of Representatives after each decennial census. Now the data will shape how $1.5 trillion in federal spending will be distributed to each state and local area. It will also be used by the state demographers to redraw political maps across an increasingly diverse country ahead, of course, of the 2022 midterm election. Our correspondent Susan Tehrani has more details on the U.S. Census Bureau report in this next ground report. Take a look.
The new census report shows that the U.S. population is diversifying and the white population is shrinking. It's a portrait of how the United States has changed in the last decade, and it's important because it is used to redraw the country's political map in the next decade across the United States. It may also be used to help determine the control of the U.S. House of Representatives in 2022 and provide a political edge for the next decade. While the white population did see an increase in some states and communities, the population for individuals under the age of 18 remained quite diverse. Susan Tehrani from New York for WION World is One.